The Hollyland Lark M2, when it was released at the beginning of this year, was the first of its kind to enter the mini lav mic market. Well, I guess DJI was getting pretty jealous of that because just a few days ago, they brought the DJI Mic Mini to the table that offers everything the Hollyland does and a little bit more. Two systems with very similar features and a very similar price point. So which one should you get? Let me explain. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, if you haven't seen my first impressions of the DJI Mic Mini, then you may want to watch that video before you watch this one, because that'll give you a fair amount of context that I'm not going to go over twice in this video. This video is not sponsored by either of these brands. I bought the Hollyland the day it was released almost a year ago, and I've used it off and on ever since. DJI did send me the Mic Mini to test out as a pre-release, but they are not sponsoring this video. No money changed hands, and they don't get to review this video before it goes out. We got the multicam A-roll setup like I always have when I do tests like this. We got the Hollyland on the A7 IV and the DJI on the FX30. Getting started with what you get in both of these kits, with the DJI system, you get a travel pouch, a charging case, 2 transmitters, 1 receiver, 4 windscreens, a gray set and a black set, a USB-C cable, a 3.5mm cable, a USB-C adapter for smartphones, and the lightning adapter is sold separately for about 30 bucks. As far as the Hollyland goes, you have a travel drawstring bag, a charging case, 2 transmitters, 1 receiver, a USB-C receiver, a lightning receiver, which are both separate to connect to smartphones, independent of the camera receiver, a long USB-C charging cable, a 3.5mm coiled cable, 2 windscreens, 2 lanyards, 2 magnetic clips, and some stickers to discreetly put on the front of your microphone here so that the Hollyland logo isn't standing out. As far as pricing goes, the DJI kit is priced at $169 US, which surprised me. I genuinely thought it was gonna be over 200 bucks. And the Hollyland system on the day that I'm recording this, which is Black Friday, is $111 on sale, but I typically see it anywhere from like $129 to like $139. As far as design and functionality goes, for the transmitter on the DJI system, you've got a matte black finish. It's also available in a white Arctic finish. Per usual with DJI, there's a nice big DJI logo on it. Heck, it's almost half the size of the freaking microphone. Overall, it's somewhat of a plastic design other than the clip itself, which is made of metal. There is no lav support on the transmitter, but as far as buttons go, there's a link button and a power button, all used for different features. One of my favorite features of this system, and you'll see in comparison in this video, the windscreen design for the microphone is freaking genius. It's just a little clip that snaps on, covers the microphone, gets the job done. For the transmitter on the DJI system, it is a mostly plastic design that has 5 levels of gain using a knob on the side, a USB-C port, a 3.5mm port, and a power button and a link button. There's also on the backside that little insert for different smartphone attachments. Now, as far as the Hollyland goes, the size of it is very impressive. It's a little bit smaller and sleeker than the DJI in my opinion, about the size of a US nickel and probably like 2mm thick. There is a small magnet that attaches to the back of it with a Hollyland logo on one side, and there's a power/denoise button. Very simple user interface here. Things don't get complicated whatsoever. The receiver is also made of a cheap plastic and feels a lot heavier and a lot less premium than the transmitter does for some reason, but there is a big knob on the top that's for 3 levels of gain adjustment. There's also a USB-C port, a 3.5mm port, and a power and link button. The charging cases between these two systems are pretty different. On the DJI, you have a locking mechanism to lift the lid, and it holds all of your transmitters, receivers, and the smartphone attachments. You can also put your 3.5mm cable in the top of the lid here, and you can close it with your windscreens connected to the transmitters. As far as the Hollyland charging case is, a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, doesn't have that locking mechanism on the lid, and it just holds your transmitters and receiver. Pretty simple design. There's a USB-C charging port on the back. Now, a quick little side note, the little drawstring bag for the Hollyland is fine and it holds everything that you need, but I actually started using these cord bag pouches to hold all of the accessories and everything when I first bought it, and I actually much prefer having this. There's a little bit more separation and it's cohesive with all my other bags with different stuff that I organize. Not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate link for cord bag in the description if you're interested in checking these out. The Hollyland's dead cat is not my favorite. It wraps around the entire microphone and it's just massive. It takes up so much space on your subject's shirt. And honestly, it's pretty annoying to attach in the first place. I don't use this very often. There's also the necklaces and the magnet clips that come with it as an accessory. I'll be completely honest, I have used the clips and I have never used the necklaces, but that might just be me. I know that a lot of people actually really like this feature, but it hasn't been something I felt like I needed to use in the last year. All right, distance test part 2. We're here with the Hollyland, same park. Let's do this thing. I'll let you guys know when we get to about how the DJI was doing before we started to drop out pretty bad. Probably about 25 feet away here. I'm gonna turn around. Do I have a dropout? There was a little dropout there, are you serious? Okay, around. How about this? Wow, okay, that's crazy. These systems are very much direct line of sight, like I mentioned with the DJI, which if you wanna see that test, you can check out my other video with my original impressions of the DJI. That one did actually pretty decently well. When I turned around from even 75 feet away, it actually still picked up my voice decently clear, but I'm probably about 50 yards right now. Turn around, and I dropped out. Okay, yeah. So signal isn't nearly as good with this system. This system is rated for 300 meters of direct line of sight. And with these systems, if you put any type of obstruction in the way of the microphone, even my body, which I'm a big dude, but I'm not that big. At least I'm not queso. I remember that I was about this far away with the DJI Mic Mini, and I did spin test and I didn't drop out. We'll see here, there was a dropout there. Yeah, so we're definitely losing signal when I turn around here. Go to the end of the park. You're probably gonna lose me completely. All right. Can't hear me? Nothing? Okay, you can hear me now. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, cool. All right, so direct line of sight, we're at the end of the park. A little bit of dropout. You were able to hear me over here with the DJI Mic Mini. When I was direct line of sight, I seem to be dropping out every once in a while. Even direct line of sight with this system. So clearly the DJI Mic Mini has a little bit better of a signal strength. On paper, it had a better signal strength. You know, in this physical test, it sure does. So, but the reason we do these tests is to test the strength overall, not necessarily how far you can get away from the camera. This seems like a much more reasonable distance to me. I guess that's what you get for spending a little bit less. You get a little bit less signal strength. Interesting comparison. I'm gonna go home, it's cold. Now the Hollyland system here also has a denoise function. There is only one level of denoise. You activate it by clicking the button on the side. So now you're listening with the denoise function turned on. This does leave a little bit more of that underwater sound comparatively to the DJI. I think the Hollyland's denoise is a lot more comparable to the basic in the DJI, but it's almost like somewhere in the middle between the basic and the strong of the DJI. Still gets rid of the background noise decently well, but I feel like my voice is a little bit more underwater. But honestly, really good, really, really good. Both of these systems do have a mobile app. There's a Hollyland app and then there's the DJI Mimo. In order to use these apps, you have to be connected physically to the smartphone, meaning you either have to use the USB-C receiver with the Hollyland or you have to use the DJI adapter for the DJI. And if you want to use the camera receiver for the Hollyland, you have to connect a USB-C cable to your smartphone, and then you can change the settings on there. This is extremely frustrating. It makes me hardly ever use the apps because it takes so much janky maneuvering to actually change any settings within the app. This should really be a Bluetooth connection for both systems. But within the DJI app, you can adjust the denoise intensity, you can activate safety tracks when you're in mono, and you can activate their clipping control, which is basically an auto gain feature. There's also a low cut filter and a couple of other settings that you can adjust. The Hollyland app is crazy simple. You can adjust and lock the gain. There's also a speaker play that allows you to play out of your phone speaker when you're trying to review the audio or video or whatever you're recording. Very simple app, and I'll be honest, I never use it. Now, one standout feature with the DJI system is that it does connect to all of the Osmo cameras out there. I've used this feature a ton, not just with the Mic Mini, but with the Mic 2 as well. I'm actually looking forward to using that a lot more with the Mic Mini. You could technically connect the Hollyland to those systems, but you would have to use this USB-C attachment, and it would just be like another thing attached to the camera, like an Osmo Pocket. I tried it, and it worked, and the sound quality was fine. But yeah, it was just kind of annoying to have this little extra piece sticking out of the USB-C port. It bugged me, but yeah, technically you could do it. As far as battery life goes, with the case, the DJI system will give you up to 48 hours. That's given multiple charges. The transmitters will last up to 11.5 hours, and the receiver will give you 10.5 hours per charge. Now, the Hollyland system will give you 10 hours on the transmitter and 9 hours on the receiver per charge. But you can recharge this thing about 2 or 3 times. Over the year that I've been using it, I've never had issues with battery life. Both of these systems do record in a 24-bit 48 kilohertz audio. The DJI system, when you're connected via Bluetooth to a smartphone, will give you 24-bit at 16 kilohertz. I do notice a little downgrade in audio quality with that, but when you're recording on a smartphone using for social media, it's not that big of a deal, but just something to keep in mind. So throughout this video, you've been listening to both of these microphones back and forth in their mixed format, meaning a little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ, and a de-esser. But this is what the DJI system sounds in its raw, natural format. And this is what the Hollyland system sounds like in its raw, natural format. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a direct comparison between the two, I'm just gonna recite something that I've memorized recently and let you guys decide which one you think has the better sound quality, but I'll give my opinion right after. All right, let's start off with the DJI. The FitnessGram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. All right, now the Hollyland. The FitnessGram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. Now, that's just to give you a direct comparison. I'll switch back and forth as I kind of give you my thoughts here. Now, both of these microphones, in my opinion, sound nearly identical. If I could notice any type of difference after listening to both tracks on loop with my $400 headphones, I would maybe give the DJI a slight bass boost edge, but it is so slight. I listened to both tracks back and forth on both headphones and on my studio monitors back here, and I legit had a really hard time telling any type of difference. The sound quality is seriously so identical to me. So I think, unlike comparing the Rode Wireless Pro and the DJI Mic 2, sound quality is not going to be a factor when deciding between these two systems. Or at least from my testing, I don't think it should be because they sound so similar. When considering between these two systems, here's a couple reasons that the DJI might be better for you. To start off, the safety track function on this is a professional function. Being able to record in mono and having a safety track on the right channel in a -6 dB is a very common function for a lot of different microphone systems. So the fact that this provides it doesn't really give you the same effect as internal recording or 32-bit float, but it does give you a little bit more of a peace of mind to maybe push that decibel range just a little bit more, knowing that you have a backup recording just in case something gets too loud. There's also that clipping control, so you have a little bit of that auto gain adjustment that I've really only seen Rode do in the past. And Rode's is fantastic, and I think DJI's is just as good. The DJI also has a slightly longer battery life with a couple more hours over the Hollyland. It also has that Osmo audio integration. Like I mentioned in my first impressions with this thing, if you own any type of Osmo, any type of DJI system, get this one. Do not get this one. This will be better for you, I promise. There's also independent Bluetooth connectivity with smartphones, so you don't have to use a receiver. I also think the windscreen design is just way better on this system. It doesn't take up nearly as much space as the Hollyland does. And when I did my distance test between both of these, in my opinion, the DJI has a much stronger signal strength than the Hollyland. Now, I understand that that's a lot of reasons to get the DJI, but here's some reasons why you might want to get the Hollyland instead. First of all, it's more affordable. The fact that this gets down to like $115 makes the system anywhere from $30 to $50 less than the DJI kit. You can also get the system with just the smartphone attachment. So if you're only going to be using this with smartphones, then you can get the system a lot cheaper if you're just doing the two. You also get that necklace attachment accessory compared to the DJI system. I'm sure you could find something separate for the DJI to pick up, but the fact that it already comes in the kit with the Hollyland is pretty dang cool. And the kit comes with both Lightning and USB-C. Like, why on earth did DJI not do that in the first place? I also think the Hollyland has a much more basic user interface. It's kind of like dummy proof. There's not too many buttons. There's not ways to get confused. Even when I was first testing out the DJI Mic Mini, I was getting kind of confused how to activate certain things. Like, I had no idea to press the power button to activate the denoise because the instructions don't tell you to do that. It also seems a little bit lighter and smaller. When they're sitting on my sweatshirt here, you can tell the DJI kind of pulls just a little bit more than the Hollyland does. Also, the fact that they provide stickers to cover the Hollyland logo is kind of a little bit of humility from the Hollyland brand itself. They're not trying to promote their brand constantly. They're allowing you to be discreet and to tell a story rather than promoting their brand. And one stupid thing that may only apply to me, but the Hollyland provides a coiled 3.5mm cable and the DJI does not.
Literally every brand is doing it, DJI.
Why can you not get on board?
It can't be that more expensive. It clearly isn't.
Do the coiled cable.
Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that. As far as sound quality between the two, I think they sound nearly identical, but you guys can let me know what you think in the comments. Now, if you're interested in purchasing either of these systems, there are links to both of them in the description. They are affiliate links. So if you purchase from those links, they do support the channel. Thank you so much if you do. But honestly, no matter which one of these microphone systems you go with, you really can't get the most out of them unless you know how to mix your audio. And if you want to know my process that I go through when mixing these microphones, you can watch this video next. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you never miss out on new young filmmaker content. Good luck filmmaking.